Hello and welcome. Today I want to have another look at freshwater isopods. I've already done a video on aquatic isopods in general, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. I've learned a lot more since I published that, so I figured that would be a great topic for a follow-up video. But first, let's take a step back. When you observe any kind of wildlife, be it animal, plant, fungus, or even single-celled organism, they all have developed their own unique strategies to cope with the challenges they face. One aspect plays a particularly crucial role in their success: reproduction. The ways in which small aquatic creatures reproduce are pretty amazing. Some, like this ostracod, lay eggs which can dry out completely and lie dormant for years until the conditions are right for them to hatch again. While others, like this worm, are effectively cloning themselves by growing into a chain of animals that later separates into individuals. Yet others, like these mosquito larvae, develop into a drastically different adult form and mate outside of the water. Now back to our isopods. They have evolved an extraordinary way to reproduce, one that even shares a few surprising parallels with our own. It all begins with an adult male in search of a mate. But not just any female will do. She must be sexually mature, of course, but there's another catch. She also has to be just about ready to molt. And female isopods, molting and reproduction are closely intertwined. Like all isopods, they grow by undergoing biphasic molting, a two-part process where they shed their exoskeleton in halves, starting with the back. Only after this rear half molt is complete does the female enter a brief window of receptivity, and it's during this fleeting moment that mating can take place. To make sure that this short time frame does not pass without him being around, the male will hold on to the female when he finds one that meets the criteria we have mentioned before. Scientists call this pre-copular, but you might encounter other terms like mate guarding or marriage clasp. The male uses his fourth pair of walking legs, which are specially adapted to the purpose, and with him being around 1.5 times her size, he is able to carry her around everywhere he goes. The duration of this mate guarding behavior varies greatly and depends on things like population density, available food resources, and the ratio between males and females. Now, for the sake of completeness, I want to mention that there are quite a few different freshwater isopod species, a lot of which are similar to Asellus aquaticus and reproduce essentially the same way, but some have modified these behaviors slightly. For example, these Danube water lice, which are so flat and short-legged that it is impossible for a male to carry a female between his legs, so he rides piggyback and the female decides where to go. But let's get back to our Asellus. Once a mating pair has formed, they stay together until the female has completed the first half of her molt, and the male has passed his sperm on to the female. She stores it in a special chamber, and the pairs separate. Soon after, she will complete the second half of her molt, and another special organ that exclusively serves reproduction is freed from beneath her skin. A brood pouch, also called a marsupium, which consists of several overlapping plates and sits in between her front legs. The eggs are then laid directly into this pouch, being fertilized in the process. Here we can see a female with her marsupium full of eggs that have just been laid. She forages to regain her strength and the days pass. About 3 weeks later, the eggs have developed into young isopods resembling their parents and crawling around in the crowded brood pouch. She oxygenates the developing offspring by flexing the pouch. She also spends a lot of time grooming herself to make sure to be at her best health and to avoid transmitting any external parasites or epibionts to her offspring. While the brood she is caring for is living off their yolk reserves, she herself still needs to eat, so some of her time is spent foraging as well. Time goes by, and after another week, the young are finally ready to leave. She gently encourages them. It is no easy task for the young isopods to make their way out of the marsupium. This is kind of hard to observe, but here we can see a single antenna peeking out at the back end of the pouch. Then the head pushes through, and segment by segment the body follows. And finally mom kicks her hind legs and helps it along. After this somewhat violent experience, the baby needs a moment to recompose. But here we have it, a newborn isopod, complete with 2 pairs of antennae and beating pleopods underneath its abdomen. It may still be looking for her comfort after weeks of being cared for and carried around. But it almost looks like isopod babies enjoy getting up in their mom's face as much as human children do. Whatever it may be, the bond that linked it to its mom is now severed, and the little guy will have to fend for himself. Soon it begins to explore its surroundings, and one by one its siblings follow, emerging into the world. Quiet, unnoticed, and profoundly cute. So, where, you might ask, are the similarities to human reproduction? Well, where do I even start? The females kinda get pregnant, fairly obvious. The babies kinda get born, also fairly obvious. The males can be total jerks. And lastly, they kinda need to take their pants off in order to reproduce. Yeah, sorry. See you next time, whenever that may be.